Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really big shift in how we think about digital security. Forget about building bigger walls or stronger fortresses. The future is all about making our data smart enough to protect itself. Let's get into it. So let's just start with a simple question. Think about all the documents, the emails, the messages you send every single day. You attach a file, you hit send, you share a link, but then what? What happens next? Where does that data actually go and who really has access to it? Because the moment you hit send, you pretty much lose all control. You might think it's a straight line from you to them, but really, its journey has just started. It gets copied, it gets saved, forwarded, downloaded. Your data is now officially on the run. And, this total lack of control, it really highlights a massive issue with our modern digital lives. We've built this incredible world where information travels everywhere, constantly, but our security just hasn't kept up. Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Once your file is out there in the wild, it just multiplies. It spreads across different devices, different clouds, and most of the time, it's completely unsecured. You lose all say in what happens to it next, and you have absolutely no way to track who's looking at it or what they're doing with it. It's almost like dropping a letter into a digital black hole. So why don't the old security methods work anymore? The ones we've been relying on for decades. Well, it's because they were designed for a world that, frankly, just doesn't exist anymore. The old way of thinking was kind of like building a digital fortress, what we call perimeter fencing. It's super expensive, and it only protects what's inside the walls. But here's the thing. The moment your data leaves that perimeter, and that could be an intentional leak, it could be sabotage, or, let's be honest, just a simple human mistake, all that protection is just gone. And what are you left with? Countless copies of your data, totally vulnerable, just scattered all over the internet, basically waiting to pop up in the next big headline about a data breach. And you really have to think about this. Our data is vulnerable at every single stage of its life. It's at risk when it's just sitting there on a server or a hard drive, what we call at rest. It's also vulnerable when it's being opened or edited or used on a computer, when it's in action. And, of course, it's vulnerable when it's flying across the internet, when it's in motion. And a traditional fortress, it just can't protect data in all three of those states. No way. But okay, beyond all the technology failures, there's another vulnerability. It's way more unpredictable, and we really have to talk about it. It's us. It's the human factor. This table breaks it down perfectly. There are really three main ways people compromise data. First, you've got intentional acts, malicious insiders or straight-up hackers. Then there's just a lack of awareness, people who don't get how valuable the data is or who fall for a phishing scam. And finally, and this one's huge, there are simple mistakes, sending an email to the wrong person, attaching the wrong file. You just can't build a firewall that protects against a simple, honest mistake. So, if we know the tech has gaps and we know that people are, people, we need a totally new way of thinking. The answer isn't a better wall. It's a complete change in our mindset. It's about making the data itself truly unbreakable. This right here, this is the whole game. The old way protects the location, the network, but the new way, it protects the data itself. And what that means is, instead of security stopping at the front gate, the security actually travels with your data, wherever it goes. Control isn't lost anymore. You stay in the driver's seat, always. So how in the world does this work? It's actually pretty elegant. Think of it like this. You've got a lockbox. When a file is created, it's immediately sealed inside that box with its own unique key. Simple enough? But here's the magic trick. That key itself gets locked away in a totally separate vault that only you can open with your personal key. So you need both to get to the file. The result is this amazing, unbreakable package that's secure no matter where it travels. This new approach just completely flips the script. It puts control right back where it belongs, in your hands, the hands of the person who owns the data. Only you and the people you specifically say can see it can ever break that code and get to the information inside. So what does all this really mean for our digital lives going forward? What's the big takeaway here? It means we have to embrace this idea of data-centric security. It's a whole philosophy that says, hey, let's protect the data, not the place where it's sitting. This is what makes sure your information is secure at rest, in action, and in motion. It gives you total peace of mind no matter where your data ends up. And look, the stakes could not be higher. Letting our data just wander around the internet without security, without control, it can cause unmeasurable damage, not just to big companies, but to our own personal lives. And a lot of the time, we don't even know the damage is being done until it's far too late. So here's the bottom line. The future is about truly owning and controlling your data no matter where it goes. So I'll leave you with this question. If you had the power to track your files, to revoke access to them at any time, and to just know that your information was always safe, what would you do differently? That's the future this kind of security makes